Okay, we're here again up above Sen and Cove, but with the camera facing in the opposite direction. We were looking that way in the last video. You should be able to see just to the right of the screen on the horizon there, Longship's Lighthouse. And hopefully, I don't know, until I see this back on a big screen, hopefully on the horizon you'll be able to see the silhouette of the Isles of Scilly. So, cracking spot. The sun is setting beautifully over there, but if I show you that, you won't be able to see me, and frankly I know what I'd rather look at. Right, we talked about the basic building blocks of investment, the things you can invest in, shares, property, gilts and stuff like that. Now we need to find out what we're going to put that money in, because you may or may not have enough to buy a whole property. You may or may not have enough money to buy a bar of gold. What most ordinary people do is invest in funds, use funds to buy these things. So I'm going to talk about the first of those fund structures today, and it's the main one really, and we call them OEICs. Now, that's not small grubby people. OEIC is OEIC, Open-Ended Investment Company. There is another name which is sometimes but less often used, and that's ICVC, that's Investment Company with Variable Capital. Now these are funds, so remember we talked about those quite a few videos back, where we collect our money with lots of other people. It's a collective investment. We pool that money, use the economies of scale to buy more things and to spread our money wider and reduce our costs. So an OEIC is a fund, essentially, and it buys things. Now, it's a company, so it has a board of directors, and the board of directors includes usually the fund manager and somebody called the ACD, the Authorised Corporate Director. And the board's job is to make sure that the fund is being run properly, the day-to-day management of it. The fund manager's job is to decide which things to buy and sell, and we, the shareholders, are the ones who invest the money. There is a third party though, sitting between the fund managers and the board of directors and the stuff they buy and sell, and this person in the middle is called the depository. And it sounds like a suppository, but it's not. A depository is there to sort of protect the assets, the things that the fund is investing in, to ring fence them in case there's any problems here with the fund management. So a depository takes instructions from the fund manager over which things to buy and sell, and they execute the instructions. Sounds more complicated probably than it is. The key thing though about OEICs is that they are open-ended, and what that means is, bear in mind they're companies, okay? If another person wants to invest in this fund, they will issue more shares. They will create more shares to give to the people who are investing the money. So the number of shares of this OEIC increases as long as there is people wanting to invest money in the fund. If people want to take their money out, their shares are effectively destroyed. They are dissolved, if you like. So the capital of the company, the size of the company, grows or shrinks depending on whether people take their money out or put it in. And that means it's an open-ended structure, hence the name, Open-Ended Investment Company. Now there is an alternative to OEICs, and they're called unit trusts, and these are the sort of precursor, if you like. And essentially they work the same way. They're still open-ended, but this time we call them units, not shares, because it's not a company, it's now a trust. So it does the same thing, but essentially works under trust law rather than corporate law. And so units now are created if somebody wants to invest, they're destroyed if somebody wants to disinvest, to take their money out. But essentially it does the same thing, it buys and sells stuff and pools everybody's money together, just with a slightly different structure. The key difference between the two, at least historically, and increasingly less so, but the key difference between the two is pricing. With an OEIC, usually you have a single price that you both buy and sell the units at. So if I buy the shares, let's get my terminology right, if I buy the shares today for £1, I could probably sell them on the same day for £1, or near as damn it. With a unit trust, there was two prices most often, one called a bid price and one called an offer price. So if I bought units, I would do that at the offer price, and if I sold them again, I would do that at the bid price. So if I bought units today at the offer for £1, the bid price would usually be 5% lower than that, so say 95p. And essentially, that's called a bid-offer spread, and essentially it is an initial charge. That clear? Good. So unit trusts and OEICs, they do essentially the same thing. Collect, pool people's money, invest in assets, shares, property, gilts, bonds, whatever. And by doing so, we know that we reduce our risk by spreading our money wider and reducing the cost. The difference between OEICs and unit trusts is usually in pricing. Fundamentally, it's in the way they're structured, but to you, the investor, that doesn't make much difference at all. Well, the biggest difference is in pricing. There's relatively few unit trusts left. Most of them have converted to OEICs, and what an OEIC is just a fund. Okay? So, that's the first of our wrappers. We're going to go on to talk about investment bonds and pensions and ISAs and things like that, and that's what's coming up over the next few videos. So thank you for watching from beautiful Sen and Cove on a glorious evening. I'm going to spin the camera around in a minute so you can see the sun set. Thank you for watching. Ready? Hang on.